if somebody had these things, they'd practically be worshipped nowadays. It's like something that's, everybody puts the people who have these things on a very high pedestal in today's world. But here Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I don't think any of these things can actually satisfy God. And what can satisfy God? It's only by devotional service. And we hear quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, and there's many quotes throughout the Shastras that say only by devotional service can one actually satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then there's in the verse here, there's an example of how Gajendra did this. Gajendra is another devotee, and he satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing devotional service. So if you thought half man, half lion was pretty far out, so Gajendra, he's an elephant, and he got into this. He was kind of like the king of the elephants. So he was just going about his day, hanging out with his she elephants and having a good time in some pond or something. And then kind of out of nowhere, there's this huge crocodile thing that comes and bites Gajendra right on the leg. And then there's this like really long battle that takes place between Gajendra and this crocodile. Of course, it's not really a crocodile. The Sanskrit word is actually a makara. And a makara is kind of like it's kind of a mix between three animals. It's like a mix between a crocodile. It's got the mouth of a crocodile, so it can clamp down on something very intensely. And then it's got the fins of a dolphin, so it can like move really, really fast. Crocodiles sometimes are kind of slow. They can be fast, but dolphins are super fast. So it's got the speed of the dolphin, the bite of the crocodile, and it's got these legs of a ram. So it's like a super beast. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that so sometimes it's translated as shark, sometimes as crocodile, but it's kind of like a super beast thing. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that of all of the aquatics, I am the makara, I am the shark or the crocodile thing, because that's like the most voracious of all aquatics and the most powerful. So Krishna says I am like that. So then this shark thing or crocodile thing bit Gajendra's legs, and Gajendra and this crocodile were kind of struggling, fighting each other for a very, very, very long time. And the problem was that Gajendra, he was an elephant, and normally elephants could kind of, they're big creatures, and they might be able to kind of take on a crocodile kind of a thing with no problem because they're so huge. But the thing was, because Gajendra was in the pond, in a lake, which is kind of like not really his environment, the crocodile was in his environment, so therefore the crocodile was able to defeat Gajendra in a fight. So then Gajendra, kind of remembering some prayers he learned from his previous life, he just kind of surrendered to Krishna at the last minute, knowing that, okay, this crocodile is going to kill me, and I'm going to probably die, and there's nothing I can do. So then he just offered like a flower or something to the Supreme Lord and offered prayers, and then because of that devotional service, the Lord came and protected him and ended up killing the crocodile, and Gajendra was saved. So that was the story there. So this verse is similar to another verse, which I'm going to read. Prahlad Maharaj also says that. This isn't the first time Prahlad Maharaj says something like this. So it's pretty similar. This is earlier, 2 chapters ago, 7, 51, and 52. Prahlad, the same person, speaks. My dear, now, so this is Prahlad speaking to his friends. Right now he's speaking to Shringadev, and earlier he was speaking to his friends. You cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming a perfect brahmana, like a priestly kind of a person, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord, nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to Him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. So again, even more qualities now, which this list even seems more like admirable in a sense. Like that was 7, 51, and 52. I mean, it's the same kind of idea, but in this one he kind of expands on the list of qualities which seem really good. Like, yeah, I want these qualities, or someone who has these qualities, they look very admirable. But without devotional service, all these qualities are like it says like it's like simply a show. So, or like what's that? It's like a covering. That's a way to look at it. Or like similar to what you said, like a show bottle. You know what a show bottle is? You know, sometimes if you go into like a department store or something, they have like a picture, like a bottle of some medicine or some big display of what's that? You didn't. I'm giving you a different metaphor. You just said it was like a covering. So it's like a show. It's a covering. Yeah, it's like I'm putting on a show, which isn't me. The real me is somewhere in here, and there's a covering that I'm putting on a show. Could be like an outfit, like a actor dressing up and putting on a show. Or another example is like a show bottle, where if you look at in a drugstore in the window, you see this bottle of medicine or whatever, but inside the bottle there really is no medicine. It's just a show. There's really no substance there. So you could have all these wonderful qualities, but really it is just a show. So then the Lord cannot be satisfied. Oh, the Lord is only satisfied by devotional service. And there's another verse, it's a famous verse, Paro Dharmo, something, I don't remember it, but it's a famous one. It says, the supreme occupation, or dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So not only is the Lord only satisfied with devotional service, we can only be satisfied with devotional service. So, the idea here is that, the Lord is like the root of everything, the root of the tree, the root of everything. So by watering the root, by doing devotional service to the Lord, all of the trees and the branches and every other part of the tree becomes satisfied. So similarly, by us engaging in devotional service, we become satisfied. We're kind of like the trees or the leaves or whatever in the Krishna tree. Okay. So then there's some more verses here, which I think are nice to bring up. These have to do with, so one we understand that devotional service is pleasing to the Lord, that we cannot be satisfied also unless we do devotional service. So Lord Kapila earlier in the 3rd canto, he kind of takes this idea like another step further. So he says that, you have all these qualities that don't satisfy the Lord, but Lord Kapila even takes one step further. He even says that you cannot even satisfy the Supreme Lord necessarily by devotional service, which is what? Can't even satisfy the Supreme Lord through devotional service? What is that about? So then, it needs qualification, obviously. So we learn that there are because it depends on how you do devotional service. Because there's different categories of devotional service, and Kapila Dev explains these. There's devotional service in the mode of ignorance. Kind of a crazy idea. It almost sounds like an oxymoron that you can do devotional service in the mode of ignorance. You can do devotional service in the mode of passion, or you can do devotional service in the mode of goodness, or you can do devotional service in the mode of pure goodness. So there's some verses here in the 3rd canto, chapter 29, text 8 through 13, if you want to look this up. So I don't have the full translation here, but the devotional service that's done in the mode of ignorance, that's executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist. So such a person is considered to be in the mode of darkness. So this is a pretty typical list of qualities in the mode of ignorance, except here we have pride as one of the categories in this list of ignorance. I just thought that was interesting to kind of, like, why is, if you do devotional service and you're very proud of it, or you have this pride when you're doing devotional service, why is that kind of considered in the mode of ignorance? You know, I would almost like consider that, I mean, just kind of thinking about it, almost seems like it would be better fitting into like the passion category or some other category. But what is the relationship between pride and ignorance? Or what is the relationship between pride, because here it's saying that one who executes devotional service with pride, that's in the mode of darkness, it's mode of ignorance. Dan?
I would say pride is basically has to do with thinking that we're better than we already are, thinking that we know more than we already know, thinking that somehow we're better. And so that's like illusion compared to most people's fallen state.
Illusion, okay.
Why they're in this material world is because they're fallen. So that's compared to ignorance, because ignorance is not knowing the truth, being an illusion. So.
Okay, so pride leads to being an illusion because you think that, you think that you're better than you really are. You don't really know what's going on, so therefore you're kind of in ignorance. Okay. Chai Baladev, you have something?
So you said, what's the relationship between pride and ignorance?
Yeah, or what's the relationship? Why is pride kind of in this category of ignorance?
Well,
I just thought it was an interesting point.
Ignorance means basically destructive habits, essentially, correct?
Okay.
I'm asking.
Ignorance means, generally, yeah, that's kind of associated. Destructive habits, it's generally in the mode of ignorance, but... Well,
by contrast, the verse that was spoken yesterday in Prabhupada's report, he mentioned that Krishnadas Kaviraj thought of himself as lower than a worm and stool. And so if someone treats you like a worm and stool, it won't be the big deal because you already think so. Everything is, if somebody compliments you, like, wow, I'm surprised. But by contrast, if you're proud and somebody treats you like worm and stool, then you're going to become very destructive and, angry in the mode of ignorance, because you think you're,
because it results, okay.
As a result. So if you desire honor and don't receive it, you're going to, get upset, try to get revenge and darkness in the mode of ignorance. So that's my understanding.
That's a good point, that pride results in a lot of these things being perhaps envious and violent and angry. So if you are proud and someone tries to call you a worm and stool, then, you kind of take that not the right way, and you might result in things which are in the mode of ignorance. So these are joy? Joey?
Hare Krishna. I was just going to add that pride stems from the bodily conception of life, which is itself ignorance of our true position.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking right there. That's a good one. Yeah, I really like that. That's the point that I was trying to get at by asking this question, is that because pride stems from, what does ignorance mean? Ignorance means to ignore. And so ignorance in this kind of context means to ignore our real identity. Ignore our spiritual identity. So when we ignore our spiritual identity, that means that we identify with this body. So we become, in a sense, we become proud of this body, and which is kind of stems from, just coming from ignorance. And we can ask ourselves, like, how do we know that we're actually proud of this body? Or how can we say that pretty much all of the living entities are more or less proud of their body? And we can say the proof for this is that living entities, they try to defend the body, which is an interesting idea, that by defending the body, it's almost like it's a sign of your pride, because you feel like, like let's say a cockroach comes, very close to you, and you're like in the kitchen or whatever, and a cockroach comes by, and you kind of like shoo it away. The cockroach is immediately defending itself, running away, saying, "I deserve to live forever," and that's kind of like the thinking there. So because everybody's trying to defend themselves, it's like a sign that they're really actually proud, and we all have that to some degree or another. So pride is like, I don't deserve death, that kind of thing. Anyway, so I just thought that was an interesting thing to look at. I like Joey's answer a lot. Okay, so then there's devotional service in the mode of passion. So this is the next verse. So here, devotional service in the mode of passion, here it says, the worship of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. So people do this. They can do devotional service with this motive for some kind of material enjoyment. Like, it's enjoyable, devotional service. And they try to enjoy the devotional service. And that is, kind of in the mode of passion. So I thought an interesting example of this was that one time devotees were having like this really, really ecstatic kirtan in Mayapur. This during Prabhupada's time, this really ecstatic kirtan was going on, and then everybody was really into it, and then afterwards one of the devotees went up to Prabhupada and said, "Whew, that kirtan was, I really enjoyed that kirtan." And then Prabhupada immediately shot back and he said, "Kirtan is not meant for your enjoyment. Kirtan is meant for Krishna's enjoyment." So it just gives an example of trying to enjoy devotional service, and devotional service in the mode of passion. Really, kirtan is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So then the mode of goodness, here's another verse. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrieties of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So this is in the mode of goodness. So you can do devotional service and you might have a motive for becoming purified or becoming free from your sinful reactions or your karmic reactions. And it's good. I mean, it's better than the other two for doing devotional service. But there's still this like me-centeredness, this I-centeredness, that I'm doing it so that I can get purified. So then, pure devotional service, which is in the next verse, is when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down toward the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows toward the Supreme Lord. So here it's just like this total, you just become attracted and absorbed in pleasing the Lord without any other motives, or it's not motivated, it's uncontaminated, totally pure, like totally in love with Krishna type of devotion. So that's pure devotion, and that's what we're striving for. And the thing is that Krishna is not satisfied with more or less anything that is like kind of contaminated, so to speak, by the three modes of material nature. So, especially in the mode of passion and ignorance, the Lord is not satisfied with that. So then we can ask ourselves, well, if the Lord isn't satisfied, here we are, we're most likely influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, and the Lord's not satisfied with anything but pure devotional service. So what am I doing here? Am I like just wasting my time, trying very hard to do something, but I'm not there yet? So what's going on? And this is where the spiritual master comes in, because we're not necessarily doing pure devotional service, although that is the only thing that pleases the Supreme Lord. So then how the system works is so that what we're doing actually has some benefit and actually helps us, is that we try our best, do whatever devotional service we can to try to please the Lord, but it's not so nice where we're at, because we have a lot of anarthas, bad habits, and we have so many other motives and influenced by the modes of nature. So then we offer something, and then we offer it to the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is like the mercy representative of Krishna. And what the spiritual master does, he takes like he takes our pathetic excuse for devotional service, and he kind of like polishes it up a little bit, straightens it out, irons it out, and kind of like fixes it up a little, and then, because he's doing pure devotional service, so he's able to take our stool-like devotional service and fix it up, and then kind of offer it up to his spiritual master, and then his spiritual master offers it to his spiritual master, and then it can go to Krishna, etc., all up the line. So Krishna only accepts things, or devotional service is only accepted when it's handed over to Krishna by Radharani. And Radharani can only hand it over to Krishna if it's been handed to her. And it's not like we're going to hand it directly to Krishna or hand it directly to Radharani. So then we offer it to our spiritual master passes it up to Radharani, then to Krishna, that kind of thing. So that's how Krishna gets our kind of contaminated devotional service. Of course, we don't want to keep offering, stool-like devotional service to our spiritual master, and then so that he can polish it up and send it. Eventually we're supposed to progress, get better and better, and hopefully our devotional service will improve, become less selfishly motivated and more pure, so that perhaps we can then pass it along. Somebody else who might come along and might need some refinement in his devotional service, you can help them and then kind of pass it up the line like that. So anyway, I just thought I'd say these points. Is there any other further discussion on this, Jordan?
I have a question on this last point, that we offer our devotional service to the spiritual master, and it goes all the way up, and it's like super far, like Krishna's like way way up there or way out there. I have a question like relating to the deity form, like if Krishna's in the deity form right here. Then if that's true, then if Krishna is right there, then we can offer anything right to him there.
So when you're trained how to offer things, have you ever like offered bhoga to Krishna before? Not very well. Well, at least you've done it, so you at least know the mechanics behind it. So the mechanics behind offering is that you offer your obeisances, or you offer, you say the pranams or mantras or whatever of your spiritual master, Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya. And anyway, so it's like this, your first, the way it works is that when you're offering something to Krishna, you don't offer it directly to Krishna. Or even when you're offering your obeisances, you don't offer it directly to Krishna. Or when you're offering anything to Krishna, you don't offer it directly to Krishna. You first offer it to your spiritual master. So like, when you're doing artis or you're offering prasadam, you first offer to your spiritual master. And then the idea is that, if it's done with love and devotion, he'll accept it and offer it up, and then up the line it goes. So it's still not direct. You're trained that so if you have the right consciousness when you're offering something, you don't have this consciousness of going directly to Krishna. You go first to your spiritual master and then up, like that. So that's why we chant Prabhupada mantras, pranams mantras, then Lord Chaitanya's Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, and then Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanataya Cha. So it's like going up like that. That's the mood. Is that okay? Jai Baladev.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class. One point. This is not my real question, but hopefully I'll get to ask my real question. But one point you brought up that I was kind of, confused about, or at least I know most people could be confused about it when you said Prabhupada said to that devotee, don't enjoy kirtan. It's meant for, and I'm thinking, like in chapter 9 in the Gita, it says, devotional service should be joyfully performed. So I'm thinking, like, most people would think that, and it came to me, maybe you collaborate on this point, that when we enjoy something like kirtan, some devotees singing, and then when we hear a devotee who doesn't sing so well, that could cause offenses. Usually, okay, I enjoy something and then I don't enjoy it, then I'm going to leave devotional service, or I'm going to make offenses against devotees. They're not. So that was reminding me of Bhaktisiddhanta. He always usually put bad singers. He didn't always put bad singers because he gave the example, and it's mentioned in Bhaktisiddhanta by Bob, that we want to bring the maximum amount of devotees to the temple. So sometimes we put nice singers up, just like a mother would give her child some medicine but coated with sugar. And so those were just some points. Maybe you'd like to elaborate on that?
One, we want to make it attractive so that more people might want to come and participate. Another one is that we want to make kirtan, we want to offer the best to Krishna, so then we want to try to play nicely, sing nicely, do things nicely for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. So the thing is, as far as you shouldn't enjoy kirtan is enjoyable. Inherently kirtan is enjoyable. Doing devotional service is enjoyable. The only question is, it's a matter of consciousness. Like, are you the one wanting to enjoy this? Is the consciousness that I'm in the center and that I want to enjoy this devotional service, or is the consciousness, it is enjoyable, let's offer it to Krishna? And then by offering it to Krishna, we in turn become joyful, and therefore it is joyfully performed. But it's joyful when it's for Krishna. It's not joyful when it's for myself.
Can I ask one more question? Is that fine?
Sure.
So this verse basically says that no opulence could please the Lord except devotional service. That doesn't mean if you have opulence. So this reminds me of one purport I like to read, but I have a question after this. Prabhupada mentions in 7:4:2, verse 2, he says material benedictions are not always exactly worthy of being called benedictions. If one possesses more and more, a benediction itself may become a curse. And we see this in material life. Like, I've heard many stories of people who won a lottery, and then they have family that they didn't even know that they had, and they want their money and stuff. So we could see that in material life. And that's why Queen Kunti, I suppose, prayed for calamities, because a lot of times curses are considered blessings, and that's why she prayed for them. So my question is related to the fact that we don't have to pray for calamities. We're all going to experience reversals at some point in our life. And one thing I noticed, maybe you collaborate on this point, is that, like for example, Prahlad Maharaj, he had a calamity. His father tried to kill him. That was a calamity. But he always maintained his most utmost honor and respect for his father. Or King Chitraketu, he was cursed by Mother Parvati, but he never retaliated against her. So sometimes we experience reversals in life, and our natural tendency is to, blame others. But we can't necessarily see the higher. So how do we maintain this, how do we not become dejected, basically, when we experience calamities, and not, because the tendency is that if we blame others, we'll leave Christian consciousness because we can't see like the higher purpose in life. So we see this in there's so many examples where they experience some calamity for someone, but they never blame, any particular person. It's like, this is Christian wills, because nothing can happen without Christian will. So how do we keep this in mind, all the time? Can you elaborate?
Well, reading the Bhagavatam is a nice thing to do, because then you hear kind of all these stories of people who experience all of these calamities, and you hear how great devotees deal with calamities and issues and problems and reversals and all the whatever issues that you can face in your life. It's all been done before by others, and it's documented very nicely in the Bhagavatam, and then you get to see how pure devotees deal with these things. And then you can take inspiration from how they deal with these things. And, they say you can develop qualities by associating with those who have those qualities. So by reading about these persons who have these qualities to be able to deal with reversals in a progressive sort of way, then you can kind of begin to deal with reversals in a progressive sort of way in your life. So it's just a matter of effort on your side, trying to read the Bhagavatam, associate with those who are able to do these things, and you'll hopefully you'll progressively, by Krishna's mercy, get better, and it'll be a gradual thing. Okay, Jitendriya? Like right now I have this reversal of this really bad knot in my neck right now. So now I'm thinking of how I can, instead of blaming something, I could just, try to, like right now in my, I'm thinking of this verse, thinking of Prahlad Maharaj, all the things that he went through, and now this little pain in the neck. As I'm talking about it and thinking about Prahlad, I kind of forgot about it. So it just kind of helps if you become absorbed in something else, like progressive, that you don't get absorbed in your own issues. Yeah.
Two things. Yeah, I just he brought up the lottery, and I just heard recently that gambling is a cheating thing, but recently
Can you put the little mic a little closer?
Yeah, in regards to the lottery, and gambling is cheating. But to add to that now, people that have won the lottery, they're not getting paid. So they're being cheated by the people that are running the lottery, which is the government, I guess. So that's something to reflect on. You get cheated twice,
You don't get paid? I know the government takes 50% of whatever you make, but
yeah.
I didn't know they didn't pay you.
Well, yeah, a lot of people aren't, they're
Anyway,
anyways,
yeah, so.
In regards to fear of death, or it says that the material body is given after many births, then you finally come to the human form of life. So it's a rare gift. So, in regards to being killed at an impromptu time, would create a lot of apprehension I mean, insofar as myself, I would think, well, geez, I have to become a little more purified before I leave, otherwise I got to come back again. So you want to leave in a pure state. So isn't that honorable to be,
Wanting to stay alive a little longer.
self-preservation?
Well, a couple points. One point is that, first of all, even if you do die, in your next life, you're going to be able to take off wherever you left off. Krishna promises that in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asks, what if I don't make it in this lifetime? And then Krishna says, oh, well, don't worry, you can take off where you left off in your next life. So anyway, you'll get another chance. So devotional service is never lost. But as far as it being admirable in this lifetime to self-preservation, I mean, if you have this idea that you want to do service, or become self-realized, want to try to please Krishna by, obviously that's the whole point, is we want to do things which are pleasing to Krishna, and naturally it's pleasing to Krishna if we take care of our bodies nicely and try to learn from devotees how to please him more and more and serve his devotees and serve Krishna. And so yeah, that's just natural that Krishna would be pleased. Krishna wouldn't be pleased by us just giving up and saying, oh, I'm not, with devotees are understood, oh, I'm not this body, so therefore I won't take care of this body. I don't think Krishna would be necessarily pleased by that. So it's just it's a matter of consciousness.
So, but how many people are ready at the time of death to just say, well, okay, it's
Hardly anybody. It's so
hardly
rare.
who's really ready,
Hardly anybody, because they say in order for you to actually go to Goloka Vrindavan, you have to be in samadhi, complete total absorption in the name, fame, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna. You have to be completely absorbed, totally pure, unmotivated, uninterruptedly absorbed in Krishna's name, fame, qualities, and pastimes. And if you're not there at the time of death, or any time, first of all, in order to get there at the time of death, you probably had to have been there throughout your life too. So if you're not there now, you're probably not going to be there at the time of death. So most likely you're going to end up taking another birth again so that you can continue where you left off, and then hopefully one day, one lifetime, be able to be in that state. But so it's really rare.
Most people are completely, they're not ready for death.
They're not ready to
die.
To die, yeah.
So that speaks for most of us,
Right. So we got work to do.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Nishta. Okay, this will be the last thing.
Thanks, sir. I just had a few questions. This is just a general question. When one is offering food and they offer to the spiritual master, they're offering to the spiritual master to offer to Krishna, or are they directly offering that food to the spiritual master?
Well, your spiritual master also has a spiritual master, and he's trained in such a way that he offers everything to his spiritual master, and then that system, and then just by the whole system, it goes right to Krishna.
So it doesn't really, the consciousness, the mood in which you're offering it to the spirit, the purpose in which you're offering to the spiritual master is not so specific. As soon as you offer to him, he knows what to do with it.
Wait, what was the last thing? I didn't hear it.
He knows what to do with it. In other words, I've heard some devotees, it seems like I had an exchange with them, and they're offering that food directly to their guru, like, this is for you. The way I thought it is that you offered, knowing that the guru is going to offer this to Krishna.
Well, yeah, in order for that guru to be bona fide.
Yeah.
So you have to offer it to a bona fide guru, or guru means bona fide guru, so that you have to offer it to a bona fide guru who would do that. You don't just offer it to anybody.
Yeah. And my other question was, in the case before one is accepted as spiritual master, does that mean that Krishna does not accept any of their humble attempts at devotion?
well, how did they learn about those humble attempts? Or how did they learn how to do those little humble attempts of devotion? They must have had somebody, somebody to show them how to offer things to Krishna. Or somebody show them how to do something that's devotional, and that's the spiritual master, that's Guru.
But they may not be specifically offering it to that person, right? They just come in, maybe they offer a flower, they do some service.
Yeah, so it's a matter of love and devotion. So if they actually sincerely have love and devotion, they're trying to please Krishna, but they haven't necessarily been told that specific principle of here's the consciousness you should have when you offer it to, you should offer it to your spiritual master and then up the chain like that, and then he'll go up the chain like that.
Right.
If you're sincere, eventually you'll, that spiritual master will come into your life, that'll teach you the proper consciousness. So it's a matter of love and devotion and circumstance. You can't, Krishna's in the heart. He knows anybody's sincerity. So if you're sincere and you offer with love and devotion, and that's all you were taught, and you sincerely try to do that, I'm sure Krishna in the heart was aware. At least the Chaita Guru is there. So if nothing else, at least the Chaita Guru knows. So there's still some kind of Guru in there somewhere.
Jai. Thank you.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.